Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Helen J. Shen. You're listening to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals. That's me. I'm Alan, your host for this ride. Helen J. Shen, our guest for the episode, is making her Broadway debut freshly out of school, and as such is at just the beginning of what I can only hope is a long career on the stage. As a child, she was very focused on classical piano, and I personally think that gave her an advantage now when she has to audition for musicals, and has taken a really interesting approach as well to finding her character in her new show, Maybe Happy Ending. She plays a robot alongside Darren Criss, who is also a robot, and this show just speaks to my nerd heart and love for robotics. So it's different, it's unique, and I can't wait to see it multiple times. But find me on the socials. Please comment, leave a rating, leave a review for this podcast wherever you are listening now. Please enjoy this episode with Helen J. Shen.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
If I had a personal Rising Stars 30 Under 30 list, our guest today would be at the top. An actor, musician, and writer who recently starred in the MCC Theater's musical The Lonely Few after captivating audiences in Anna K. Jacobs and Michael R. Jackson's musical Teeth over at Playwright Horizons. Her regional credits also include starring in Man of God at Williamstown Theater Festival and in Sunset Boulevard at ACT of Connecticut. And she is just about to make her Broadway debut starring in the musical Maybe Happy Ending opposite Darren Criss, directed by Michael Arden. So wow, Helen J. Shen, welcome to the Theater Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dude, and you are in the midst of rehearsals for Maybe Happy Ending right now, yeah?
Yes, we've just started week 4.
Week 4. So, okay. I am so excited to see this show because I love tech and engineering and animatronics and robots, and I cannot wait to dive into what makes you a good homebot. But before we get there, I want to go back to start at the beginning. Little Helen, when did you first start getting into theater? Where did you grow up? Tell me that story.
I grew up in New Jersey. My first role in theater was technically Gretel in a community theater production of Sound of Music. But I would say I would like to add into it, starting from preschool, there was a moment that we were like acting out Rainbow Fish. I played the titular Rainbow Fish. And after that moment, it was over. I knew that there was something about, I remember, I don't remember much of it, but I do remember that it was important to me that I was made a fish face the whole time, which is just,
like sucking in your cheeks fish face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly that. I was like, the creative process, already so intoxicating in preschool.
Dude, that's a lot of face hurt. I can only do that for about 10 seconds before my cheeks get tired.
Dedication was real. I'll tell you that one. And like making people laugh during puppet shows, like it was always something, but officially, it was Gretel in Sound of Music, and Paper Mill was big for me growing up. Seeing Paper Mill shows and then being part of their educational program was huge for me. I found a lot of just confidence building from Paper Mill and community building, and it just was the best. But mostly my upbringing had a lot of classical piano in it. So I kind of had to find time to do theater in my fair-ish time, where it was regular school, public school, and then classical piano, and then it was theater, and then have fun and do whatever you want. But then in high school, I was like, I have to do this for my life. And so I applied to the University of Michigan, and I got in.
The classical piano track, was that out of necessity from your parents? Was it you that wanted to do it? You're nodding. You're not.
I'm nodding. Well, I was really excited to start it, but I think the intensity of competition classical music was definitely, if you're going to do something, go fully to it and do it as best as you can and to like the highest ability. And so classical piano and competitions and stuff that took me to Lincoln Center, that took me to Carnegie Hall, took me to Italy. Like, it was intense already from age 5 until 17.
International competitions for classical piano. Wait, tell me about the classical piano circuit for a second, because I didn't realize this was like a whole competition thing.
Oh, it's huge. It's gigantic. There are national competitions, there's regional competitions. And yeah, well, it was sort of a festival that I did with my piano teacher, and she kind of ran this festival, but then there were people from Kazakhstan who came to compete, Italian students who came to compete. Like, it was international for sure, because I was an American going to compete in Italy. But I don't know, when I was doing it, it didn't feel like, oh, this international competition with all of this weight behind it. It was kind of a 2-week festival that just made us practice our concertos a little bit harder.
That's all it was. So you started playing piano then at 5, and
yes,
but all the whole time is something like pulling at the back of your head. You're like, I'd rather be on stage. Or are you still trying to decide between classical piano and musical theater at this point? Because at some point singing has to appear as well.
I always loved the music part of the piano, and I loved performing. I loved being on stage, and I loved to sing as well, just like in Chinese school and in regular school and choir and stuff. I adored it, and I just had such a great time. I clearly had, like, I was just singing around the house. Like, there was something about singing that was really important to me. But what was difficult was like practicing so intensely. Like, I had 2 lessons a week. I had, competitions, and would practice one song or one piece for a year before I was able to even show it to anybody and do any kind of competition. So that intensity, I lost a lot of love for just the spontaneity of music and the aliveness that it felt very like there's a right and wrong. And fundamentally, as an artist now, I'm like, there is absolutely no right and wrong in art, and doing it for the sake of doing it is that's enough.
Do you still play?
So, yeah.
Do you still play a lot?
I do play a lot more. Like, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of my family growing up were all like, it was such a shame that you wasted all of these lessons and these years and stuff. And at the point at 17, when I was like, I'm going to do musical theater, it did feel like a choice. It felt like a turn. But I play every day in my life, just to accompany myself or to just sing in my own home. I play every day, and it helps me learn music faster. It helps me sight read. Like, all of the skills that I had that I was building foundationally, I use every day. And it's not necessary for sure, but I like knowing that little classical music theory lesson that I had 10 years ago, it's still kicking, and it's still there. One day I'll be able to whip it out and really impress a room with that knowledge.
Well, it's got to be able to help you, with sight reading. If you're in an audition or something, and you hear stories all the time of people going in for role 1, and then someone's like, oh, hey, take these sides, or go out here for role 2, 3, and 4, and learn them in 30 minutes or 30 seconds sometimes, right? Like, to come back in. So you've got to be able to just like knock this out faster than your competition.
Totally. And like, I end up being that person when I'm reading music, in learning a new song and a new piece. Like, I am just sight reading, so you can kind of throw really a new piece at me quickly, and that feels like doing readings and doing new work, specifically because things are changing all the time. That's such a helpful skill.
What type of musical theater style do you subgenre do you like? Because there is like the classical, I'll say your Webers, and then Sondheim's its own thing, but then there's Jonathan Larson. You got your rock style, you've got Hamilton, the R&B style now. So where do you gravitate?
I love it all. But there's a soft spot in my heart for the mega musical. So the Andrew Lloyd Webbers, the Claude Schoenberg. Is that what
Schoenberg?
their name? The Schoenberg? Yeah, like yeah, just the mega musicals. Like it's such a guilty pleasure to me, but I feel like in my career I've been asked to do more so pop rock stylings, which is interesting because maybe Happy Ending is so not a pop rock score. In fact, it actually leans a lot more like jazz influenced and just kind of, yeah, it's ethereal, the music, and sweeping, and we have a 10-piece orchestra. It's very different from what I came to expect from like the sides that would come in, the auditions that would come in. I would always have a pop cut. That was kind of like what I planned on doing post grad. So it's so fun to be able to do a score like this where I'm like, have to sing, it bring my like mezzo into it and more classical training that I've had. So yeah, that's really fascinating and wonderful to do and just to explore right now.
That's interesting. It's really interesting that you're I guess you're pulling from all these different little facets of your life. And I hope that whoever is telling you that they think you wasted a lot of those lessons, point them at this episode and be like, no, 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 no. It's all come back to here. I wouldn't be here without that.
Well, they always ask me like, how much are you actually playing piano? And I really genuinely play piano all the time. I think I'm surrounded by music, and if I wasn't introduced to music that intensely from such an early age, like I wouldn't have the kind of appreciation I have for it now, which is just so like the art of it, the craft of it is so special to me. Like that is just something that I really appreciate. I don't know, what was it, 14 years of piano, but while I was in it, it was tough. Like while I was in it, I was like, oh God, if only I could be singing and dancing and being with my friends. Because it was a lonelier thing because you're practicing in a practice room by yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you're playing with an orchestra, you're kind of by yourself with this group. So
I just remember even in high school, there are art schools that I go visit, and you go through these practice rooms, and it was just hallways of people playing all by themselves. And there's something to be said about being able to find a community of people. And I say this all the time on this podcast, is it's a merry band of misfits, musical theater, especially musical theater.
Okay.
In that if you don't fit anywhere else, you just fit together in musical theater. And it's really cool, I think, how it's all drawn together and people from all different walks of life. God, I was talking with somebody who was a composer the other day a lyricist who can't read music. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's totally awesome because you can write lyrics. You can be a great poet and then have a good teammate, trust somebody, the rest of your people, to bring you up and build you up, and you build them up by making their music have lyrics that matter. So I think you've got a long road ahead of you in that you can take what you're given and add so much flair and color to it, given the amount of mechanics you understand about music. And that's there. I'm not being facetious about this. There's a lot of mechanics and math behind all of this.
Totally. I don't know. In my adulthood, I feel like the written music and the reading of music is interesting, and because I took composition in college, so I took like songwriting class, and we would notate music. So I have also an appreciation for actually putting notes into a computer, which is its own fascinating skill. And a bunch of people who are hired as copyists are so much better at it than I am, and it sent shivers down my spine every time I had to do it. But that was just such a wonderful exploration into just like the making of music that I got to do in college.
Well, so how is that translating to now maybe Happy Ending? Because you're originating this character, and I mean, music and script comes to a rehearsal for original show somewhat permanent, but it's always up in the air until, final opening, more or less. So how are you coloring what you're bringing to the stage now, like during the rehearsal process?
Yeah, I think Will and Hugh and Michael have been so open to like our exploration of these new characters because they've done this production before in Korea, Asia, and have had multiple different iterations of it. So it doesn't feel like we're being prescribed what has been done before. More so like they're like, put your own voice onto it, make your own choices, and like think about how the story affects how you're singing these things. So as I approach the music, I'm able to make choices, which is so fun doing an original musical, and bringing it to Broadway for the first time is like, they've been very welcoming about us bringing our individuality to the characters.
That's super, super cool, I guess. So also, just side note, working with Darren Criss, did you grow up watching Glee?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So when you realized that A, you got the role, awesome, making your debut, but then B, you're going to star alongside Darren Criss. Do you remember where you were when you received the news?
Oh, that story. I get chills thinking about that story because I was doing teeth at night and understudying while I was at teeth, and then rehearsing The Lonely Few at MCC during the day. So this was during the time that I all of my days were filled with theater, and it was the best thing ever. So I got the news that I was going on for the role that I understudied that morning. And I left rehearsal to go do 2 shows as the role that I understudied. And it was the first time, and I was really like pumped up on adrenaline. And you kind of, after you go on for that first time, you kind of feel like you can take over the world. You kind of like feel like you have superpowers. There's something about that first time that you're like, I can do anything. So I finished that second show in the evening, and my agent and manager told me that I got the role. This was after my chemistry read, which was the day before. So even meeting Darren was insane. I was like, okay, I gotta put my my rep book down and do this audition in front of him and sing with him in my audition. So already I was like, if I don't get it, I won. Like, this is insane. What an opportunity, a callback, and then you get to sing a duet with Darren. I was already amazing. And so I got the news that next night, and I was like full of good news. And it was, I will remember that day for the rest of my life. It was every minute felt like a movie minute. Yeah. And since then he's been so like fun and welcoming and chill and cool, which is so great to, work with someone who has such a standing in the industry, and also for them to be nice. That's the best.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. So, inside a one-room apartment in the outskirts of Seoul, Korea, for those who don't know, Oliver lives a happy, quiet life listening to jazz records and caring for his favorite plant. But what else is there to do when you're a HelperBot 3, a robot that has been retired and considered obsolete? All right, so there's more to this logline, but you guys are robots.
I love hearing the lore spoken in this way because we've been like building these facts and talking so casually about like, yes, so this is a 3, so this is how you would act, and this is and it's all lore that we're making. This world is so lush and thought out already. So I just love hearing it like spoken. Like
are you a
so
HelperBot 4, the next generation?
I'm a 5.
Ooh. Oh, wow. So this HelperBots have been around for a while. So I'm picturing like Sunny. Have you seen that on Apple TV? Has anyone brought that up?
Yes.
Right. So obviously you are not in a giant white suit on wheels. But how are you approaching the roboticness, is that a word, of your characters?
It's more of like a journey right now, and how we're seeing it. Like in our movements, I would say Darren is thinking more on the like stiffer side, because Claire's a 5. I can kind of explore how would a robot almost identically imitate what a human does.
Right.
So it's all very like human plus, or like intentionally human, which is such an interesting acting exercise, because I honestly like, there's some moments of sarcasm that I'm like, oh, interesting. Like this sense of nuance Claire picked up on, but Oliver really can't pick up on. And so every day, we just talk very extensively about like why these characters would do the things that they do. But with these characters, they have a shelf life, and I'm like, I've been seeing that what else would make someone human other than their mortality, I guess.
Yeah.
So like you have these robots having a sense of mortality and a sense of purpose, and they're really not at all different from humans, but we can process what they're experiencing in a way that feels maybe a little bit, we can actually open our hearts a little bit more because it feels a little bit apart from us, if that makes sense.
It really does. And I love that you are 2 hardware generations apart, because I think in the world of AI especially, but in actual hardware and tech, that's a big leap. Those are 2 big leaps.
Yeah.
Because and so I guess taking that into this, and there's only so much that you can upgrade the software when your hardware is limiting. So I am so curious to see this show now, because I want to see how both of you are embodying being non-humans who are programmed to act like human, playing humanoid figures. So, like, did you get into this with the director and everybody when you were first starting? You were like, okay, let's peel back the layers, and you're this, pretending to be this, but you're not this, and like, we're going to put you on wheelies and you're going to glide across the stage.
We definitely talk about it as it comes up. We've had movement sessions with our movement consultants, and they're very like, here's some exercises of isolating your body. And there's moments like that. And then there are moments of like, where does this thought actually come from? Is it from Oliver's owner, which is both of our owners heavily influence our experiences and what we've learned from people and what we've learned and downloaded and can synthesize. So it's basically life, right? Like we're like impacted by these people who are our parental units, essentially. Like it feels like what nurture versus nature would be to a human, but we're just doing it in this extended metaphor. So like, we talk all about like Claire's owner influenced her to have this feeling about people, or like how her socioeconomic status impacted like how she talks to other characters. It's all so fun for nerds to be talking about it in the room, and then the book just lets it all be and doesn't force like, the details are all things that we talk about so that the story can just be
right
on stage.
I love this concept. I absolutely love this concept, because AI has to be programmed with a set of boundaries and guidelines and learn and experiment, and it can learn at such a faster rate than any human ever will be able to, knock on wood, right? And well, if the moment we can like get a USB upgrade in your neck or something like Matrix style, I'm there. I'm going to learn all the languages.
I'll be first in line.
I'll be there. But so you're right. Having socioeconomic differences, having gender differences, having the hardware differences in terms of capabilities, and the software differences on the hardware differences to be able to interpret the exact same situation in 2 completely different ways. I mean, that's literally just being human, being 2 human.
It's just being human.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And then you get to sing all on top of it with everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
So have you been taking this into your personal life? Like every character, I believe, helps you grow as the actor. The characters you play teach you something about yourself. So are you learning all of this, like trying to not be human? Are you learning how to be human?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like just, I feel like every day coming out of rehearsal, I'm like, how can I be more present in my life? Because that's the lesson that I'm learning reading through the script every day. Like, just how to not isolate. I think this story really resonates with me post-pandemic, of just like what we all have now experienced, of just like what it actually means to really just self-isolate, intentionally or not. Like that is something that we all know very deeply. just for having lived in the past couple of years. And now to kind of be able to think about choosing connection and choosing how to be impacted by other people, despite knowing like pain could be on the other side. Like those are all such timely questions to me, and they make me feel so many things in the room as an actor, as a human actor playing these robots. But the story every day is just like tugging and tugging at my heartstrings. So yeah, like I've learned so much from just how Claire sees the world, of just like she has a shelf life, and she's like, you know what? I kind of want to do something for the first time that I want to do instead of something that somebody's told me that I have to. So I think that is such an inspiring lesson to take from her.
It doesn't sound like there's a way to like transfer consciousness into a new bot or anything. I don't think that's part of the lore you're creating. But
that's another can of worms.
No, I know, and I was gonna say it's a good thing, because you keep saying like these two characters, they have a shelf life, and without an end date, without an expiration date, when your warranty runs out and you die, people could go on forever, and that's not necessarily a good thing, right? Because I think a lot of the fear of death or just growing older and all that, you want to get metaphysical? Is that the right word? Existential. You want to get existential about it. Metaphysical. Nope, wrong podcast. You want to get existential about it, right? Like, I think everything everyone does for the most part is like to continue to move forward, because if you look back, you get scared. But if you look too far forward, you get scared because you won't be around forever. And to translate this into like a machine language, it's just brilliant. I really can't wait to see this show.
Just really creative people on the creative team. I mean, that just sounds stupid the way that I said it, but like they're really so brilliant every day. I always look at them in awe. Just they're always thinking about very new and witty ways to build this story with using this world. It's just creative. Yep. It's so fun. Yep. Our imaginations are like lighting up every day. Great.
It's awesome. Okay, so let's play a little game as we wind down the episode here. We're going to do plot in 60 seconds. So you're going to give me a number, 1 through 16. I have a list of 16 popular musicals, and so you have to give me the plot to the musical you choose in 60 seconds or less.
Okay. Okay, I'm choosing a number, 1 through 16. 10.
10 is Phantom of the Opera. Go.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay, so you hear an overture, and suddenly the chandelier is going to drop. Chandelier drops. Oh no, what happened? All the ballerinas and the opera singers they're like, wait, oh God, a show's happening. And turns out it's the ghost of the theater. And the ghost of the theater is all wreaking havoc because he is in love with a girl who's understudying the main opera singer. And so the opera singer, she's like, I can't do this anymore. This is horrible. So then
30
Christine
seconds
starts
remaining.
singing, and we're like, oh my God, it's Christine. She's amazing. She's the best singer in the world. And the Phantom was right. And then her best friend Meg is also there, and I think a dancer, and I think they're dancers together in the choir. And
15 seconds remaining.
Christine's boyfriend is also in the audience and just loves everyone. And there's, I think, just some like back behind the scenes
5,
things that happen. But basically,
4,
Phantom
3,
and Christine
2,
fall in love, and
1.
That the end.
Good. I'll take it. Phantom and Christine fall in love. It's not creepy at all. Nope, not creepy.
Nope, not creepy at all.
Not creepy, stalkery. We won't even touch that. Yep, there we go. Classic. All right. So as we wrap up now, the 3 final questions. Just the first one is simply, what motivates you?
What motivates me? I think knowing that like what I do as a theater performer, doing like my job every night, and then having like a people who I can do it for is impactful. And I think that people can do things for people, and like, yeah. And my parents motivate me. They are immigrants, and I feel proud to be a child of immigrants, and that motivates me too.
Okay, so next question. If you could only, that was the third one. I almost jumped ahead. Second one, what advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
I'd say just be open to your own experiences. Like, learn about everyone around you, but looking sideways to compare yourself and looking to kind of completely emulate somebody else, you have to march to the beat of your own drum. And there's no one like you. So just keep being more you.
All right. Now, final question, hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you could see it as many times as you want, what would you say?
Can I say a really specific one?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say my, when I was a freshman in University of Michigan, I was crewing a production of Passing Strange. And that specific production, I want to see for the rest of my life over and over and over again.
Why
and
that
like
one?
be in the audience for it.
Why?
Oh my God, it changed my life. Like I sat in that audience and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is like the kind of stories that I want to even write one day. This is the kind of like theater that I want to build. It was so divisive. And so I sobbed like a baby every time I saw it, and I crewed it. So I saw it many times. Yeah, so it was just like seeing people who are my peers and also like be part of the devising process was really inspiring. I was like, we're all such great theater makers. This is amazing. And I love what you guys are doing. Like, it was just, yeah, it was that production.
All right. So where can we find you online on social media?
Instagram, I think it's at Helen J Shen, and TikTok, Miss_Shellen_, I think.
Shellen?
Yeah, so find me there. Shellen.
Shellen.
Yes.
All right, Shellen. We got it. We'll put it in the show notes. All right, thank you. I'm on Thread, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Yeah, I'm all over the place. Leave a rating and a review wherever you're listening now. Spread the word. Tell them how much you enjoy listening to Helen, and make sure to get your tickets for Maybe Happy Ending, because it sounds like it's going to be awesome. Jukebox the Ghost gave us our intro and outro music. Helen, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.